in your coaching circles and talking to people, are other people experiencing a roster turnover like this? Is this something that a lot of other teams are dealing with? And what's your experience been like with all these new faces so far?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that, the landscape right now of college basketball there's a lot of programs that are going through only having one or two returning guys. You look at Kentucky's roster, you look at Arkansas, you look at ours. It's just kind of the nature of how everything goes, and you have to be adaptable and adjust to it. But I do think that my minor league background of having a new roster every 2 weeks I guess I'm a little bit more suited to the current state of where everything is.
Once you actually get settled into the job and you start to set out and you're like, I need to put together a team, like what is the first step in that approach? Like where do you start?
Yeah, I think for us, we tried to start with high quality, high character guys. At USC, there's an academic piece as well that, our pool of recruits is different than maybe other places that I've been. So I think that is an added piece or an added layer to your recruiting process here. But we wanted guys that really wanted to be here, and then I think from a stylistic kind of, we wanted guys that could play multiple positions. We felt in year one that it was super, super important that we had versatility, meaning guys 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", and we do have some duplications of that. Some guys are going to have to play out of position. We're probably a little thin at two really important positions, meaning up front at the center spot and point guard. Where, those two spots we don't have a lot of numbers, but we recognize that, and we're going to have to get like a third and fourth guy that can play the point in case foul trouble. And it's going to be a unique experience for that player, because I don't know if it's Jalen Shelley, who's been a high school four-man, or if it's Matt Nolan, who's played the four at Yale. We don't really know. We're going to kind of experiment with that.
Eric, when you look up and down the roster, though, a lot of guys kind of with proven, experience at the mid-major level or what have you. Was that kind of an intentional point for you in roster building, as opposed to maybe pulling guys who hadn't played much at the high major level or what have you? Like, what was your approach in building this roster?
Yeah, I think for us it was year one, how to not make we all make mistakes. The NBA makes mistakes when they draft. The NFL, and they have years and years and can go to practices and really study guys, and they have private detectives doing backgrounds. We don't have any of that. So our margin for misevaluation becomes higher at the college level. And so the thought process was, who did our staff see with our own eyes, or how can we look at film, and there's a body of work against Division I players. So that was kind of the way we went about building it. Not that it's right, wrong, indifferent, but that was our thought process, almost like an NBA team, not having a bunch of draft picks and being super young and maybe going with some veterans that have some experience. So that was kind of the thought process.
To find 12 or 13 guys, how many guys do you scout? How many do you talk to in that process?
Just scout them?
Or talk to how many guys did you talk to, or vets or scout during this whole?
About these guys?
To find 12 or 13, how many players did you look at?
Oh, wow. A lot. Yeah. I couldn't even, just the group of players that we had that we were recruiting from in the Arkansas transfer portal, and here a lot of people just got eliminated based on, players that were going into their third or fourth year that weren't grad transfers, that they're kind of eliminated at USC. So there was a whole pool of those guys that we just didn't recruit. So it was guys that had played 1 or 2 years, or guys that were grad transfers. So two classes were pretty much eliminated right off the bat. And that, there's a learning curve in that too, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know that right away. And then when you start turning in transcripts and stuff, you learn pretty quick.
Do you have the luxury in that process of searching for specific traits? Are you I know you mentioned size, are you prioritizing size or position? Or are you just kind of forgetting about we'll find a point guard, in the pool?
I think that like for us, we've had the guys that are in that 6'6" range have had really good success in our system, whether it's Moses Moody or Anthony Black or Caleb and Cody Martin. I can go on and on, Isaiah Joe. And so we just kind of wanted to go with that template, so to speak. And we have had some guys that were not traditional point guards play really well. Doesn't mean that we'll be able to do it again, but Cody Martin came to us as a 4-man from NC State. We played him at the point. Lindsey Drew from LA was a longer player that, had played some point, but we rolled with him exclusively. Jimmy Witt was like a 3-4 man, even though he was super undersized. We played him at the point. So, doesn't mean it'll work this go around, but that was the thought process of trying to find guys that valued the ball and maybe we could, put them in different positions to keep our defense the way that we want. So if you have some length at the point guard position, it allows you to switch a little bit more 1 through 5.
With that said, how important was Desmond Claude getting a guy that doesn't have that experience as a point guard?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have a smile on my face, and he hasn't even practiced yet. So, and he won't practice for a while. He had an elbow surgery on one elbow, and then he's got the surgery on the other elbow coming up. So we will be without him most of the summer. But we did know that in the recruiting process, it was part of the conversation with he and his father. That this was important because he'd been playing through some pain and felt like this was the best time to do it so that he didn't have to deal with pain during, December and January or after our season when he's, potentially could be focused on the pre-draft process.
Do you expect him back healthy by the start of winter?
Sure. Yeah,
fall?
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just cleaning up small debris in the, so he should, it's, nothing that we're overly concerned about at all.
Well, Eric, we've seen you, just around LA a lot, and getting used to Sparks games and what have you. What it just, on a broader sense, what has been your approach to kind of trying to inspire a little bit of, excitement and energy around this program from a culture sense?
Yeah, I think that the trying to create energy and enthusiasm and stuff, it's probably going to be like September, October. Students get back on campus. We're going to have to do everything we can to get involved with the student body. I think that's where it starts. We're just too far removed from, so right now it's more just me trying to learn and the Rams were super helpful. We went through travel process with the Rams that it was, eye-opening to me on what they do when they travel 3 time zones and how they try to stay on the same schedule and things that I had never heard before, that if however many hours the time changes, it takes you that many days to adjust. So little things like that, right now it's just getting out and, I had to drive 3.5 hours to go to a Major League Baseball game from Fayetteville to Kansas City, 3.5 hours. So I feel real happy I can drive 6 miles and be at Dodger Stadium.
When you guys sit down to actually put together the roster, first meeting sort of thing, is any part of that process overwhelming to you? You look at the roster and it's like one guy is barely on it.
It was really overwhelming. I think anytime you take a new job, and only people that have been through it, I've been through it a lot, so, but it's super difficult. You're separated from your family. I was for 2 months. There's a time change. It's hard for me to get a hold of my daughter on FaceTime with the time change. So there's a little bit of guilt feeling, just not being with your family. And then you're looking at the roster and everything's happening so quick. And, I don't know, and our staff doesn't know what are the recruiting points to hit. So we're kind of learning on the fly. You want to try to make relationships with local high school coaches and AAU guys, but you're so overwhelmed with your own, putting together your own roster. And so you're trying to balance all of that, and it becomes hard. It becomes difficult. Like our moving truck's coming today. But we, probably the smartest thing we did is we rented a house for the first month in Manhattan Beach with our whole staff stayed in it. Guys were in bunk beds, and we called it the Portal House. And we literally, Michael and Ruta were in bunk beds, and it'd be like midnight, and I'd say, hey, what about that guy from so-and-so college? It'd be like 12:30 at night, Coach Conroy stayed in there. It was pretty fun. It wasn't a frat house, but it was a portal house.
Just crushing Bowling Green tape at like 2 a.m.
Crushing Bowling Green tape, eating every meal together. None of us cooked. So we ate out every single meal for a full 30 days until that rent, lease, whatever you want to call it, ran out.
Whether it's St. Thomas, Josh Corner, all these guys, how do you project how a guy who's been successful at the mid-major level will do at the
It's really hard. I mean, it really is. I mean, nationally, there's been some super success stories. We've had some great, I mean, J.D. Note is the coolest example ever, a guy that averaged 12 points a game at Jacksonville, and he turns into a third-team All-American player. So you don't know. All you can do is watch film, try to project, look at body type. So it's hard, but it is hard. You know, it really is. Some guys, you know, you look at St. Thomas's body of work last year, much different than at Loyola. You know, and then you try to figure out, is it system? Did the player grow? Was there maturity? You don't really know until, and Chuck Daly used to say, you never knew a player till you coach him. And that's so true. Like, until you walk out here, and I mean, first practice, you start to have a feel on who's going to retain stuff, who might take shortcuts, and you know, and then you try to help those guys grow in any area that they might have a flaw in.
Who's standing out to you 4 practices in, and who are your leaders?
Yeah, I wouldn't say anybody's really stood out just because everybody's playing so hard, and some guys are probably a little nervous, some guys are anxious, some guys got cleared later than other guys. I would say from a leadership standpoint, Josh Cohen's done a great job with his voice of trying to lead, and then we've had some guys lead by example. St. Thomas and Buzo have been 2 guys that have led by example. I think, you know, Clark is a guy that will be able to show leadership. Matt Nolan, that's the good thing about our team is we are super coachable, and you know, I think that when you have high character guys, they'll police themselves, so to speak, and create their own accountability. Like, practice ends, they've created their own post-practice routine, which has been pretty cool to see.
Was there any particularly like thrilling moment at the portal house when you get someone to commit and the whole house is excited?
I don't know, maybe Coach Will or Coach Ruda, they probably got either some great stories or some horror stories from lack of sleep. Ruda was the first out of there, man. I mean, he found a place and he was out, no furniture, nothing. Like, I've had enough. I can't. We're at work all day talking basketball. I can't talk until 2 in the morning. Watch film and, hey, look at this clip, you know. So I think Ruda probably he was the first one out. Will did a good job sustaining, and so did Michael Musk, but we did have some guys bail on us early.
It seems you really loaded up on outside shooting. Was that reflective of how you want to play?
Yeah, I just thought, like, shooting is, you know, you can't really teach shooting in a short amount of time with guys that are, you know, especially grad transfers, just because of the amount of, you know, you got 8 months with them, so to speak. So yeah, we wanted guys that could space the floor because I mean, obviously our DNA has been getting to the foul line, and you look at where we've ranked the last 9 years or whatever on FTAs, and the only way to do that is to have guys that can draw extra defenders out, so you can open up dribble, drive, penetration.
The point guard depth real fast. Who do you see behind Desmond? Who's the guy you trust as a ball handler?
I mean, Desmond and Clark are the 2 guys that you know, they're going to be the 2 point guards, and then, you know, from there, we just need a 3rd and 4th guy in case somebody's sick or foul trouble or injury. You know, just to, you know, you can't go into some of the Big Ten venues without having somebody that, you know, understands what it means to play that position.
Today, Eric, we saw a lot of emphasis on conditioning, and you know, say you can't jog entering the Big Ten, knowing the roster and the system that you play and the aggressiveness that you want to play with. What is the emphasis on getting these guys and building that roster for a Big Ten kind of style of play?
I mean, I think you got to play super hard. You got to play physical. I think we'll be a little bit different because this team was built a little more like an SEC team. Although we felt like Josh would be a guy that maybe more suited for the Big Ten even than the SEC. But, you know, all I've tried to do is pick brains of other Big Ten coaches and former Big Ten coaches and just ask them what's the toughest venue to play, what's the hardest travel, what school's the farthest from the airport you land at, all those type of things. 'Cause it's going to be new for us. What hotels do we stay in? What restaurants do we eat? You know, like there's a lot of stuff that's going to be challenging.
Is there anything that surprised you about the group so far?
No, I mean, I thought coming in that they would be coachable, and they are. I thought that they would have a level of maturity that maybe not a lot of teams have. We have that. I mean, Matt Nolan's super mature. You know, I mean, he's a guy that could probably be president of the United States. Like he's got like a it factor from forget basketball, just off the floor. And we do have a lot of guys that take pride in the craft and take pride in having some professionalism.
I think Josh was your first commit of that group. Was there a sense of relief when you kind of hear him just say, yes, I'm going to follow you? Like, oh, people are going to come.
I think that was the hardest thing, because some of our first guys that we brought on visits, we didn't get a commitment. And then when you go back and ask their AAU coach or their high school coach, and a lot of it was, well, we didn't know who we were going to play with. And that was a big factor in some of the guys early on, especially, that we didn't get. And then when we had some guys jump on board, like Josh and like Matt, now all of a sudden you could start talking about depth chart and role and vision on, you know, but even then you're only guessing. I mean, you don't, you know, at this time of year, your depth chart is going to change based on productivity. So, but it was hard to get the first 2, 3, 4 guys to commit.
What is the pitch to these guys to building a roster when there's only one guy, you know, solidified, and the whole coaching staff is living in a portal house in Manhattan Beach, and like everything's unclear? Like, what is the pitch? What is the message that you kind of deliver to the majority of these
Well,
guys?
I know when I FaceTime guys, and I had the background of Manhattan Beach. Better than other places. I promise you that, because I did most of my FaceTime calls not here, but when I was back there, and we were like 2 blocks from the beach, so it was super easy. I kept telling the staff, get out of the house on your FaceTimes, go walk the Strand, you know. The pitch was great opportunity, great market, great league, unbelievable academic, you know, piece to it to graduate, you know. So I think there was a lot of, and the USC brand is a national thing that's, you know, fun to recruit to.
In terms of putting your staff together, what were you looking for there?
Really simple, guys with NBA background. Yep, I mean, I knew, obviously we brought the group from Arkansas. Many of them had been in Nevada with us, so Coach Ruda and Michael were coming no matter where we went, because they know our system inside and out. And then with Will and Quincy, it was, how do I get 2 former NBA players? All these guys aspired to play at that level, and it was kind of a non-negotiable for me. But we talked to a lot of people that kind of fell into that background, a lot of hard decisions. But that was like, you know, I wanted a guy that could work with, you know, guys above 6'6", and thought Quincy could do that, and wanted somebody that could work with perimeter guys, and thought Will could do that. And then Todd Lee worked with me 25 years ago. So Coach Ruda's got G League experience. Todd Lee's got CBA, which is basically G League, and so I thought that pro background was important for our recruiting stuff.
Was Jen Cohen involved at all in bringing the guys in from Washington?
Nope. Other than me asking about her opinion, but no, she challenged me on every single guy that we brought in, you know, and she was awesome throughout the process.
Can you talk a little bit about Isaiah Elohim? How do you see him fitting as a freshman?
Yeah, I mean, Isaiah's got a body that's ready right now for college basketball because of his shoulders, and he's a really good athlete. You know, obviously played for, you know, in a great program, super well coached, understands spacing. You know, so I mean, he's got a really, really bright future. You know, some guys, it takes them 8 months body-wise, but his body type, I mean, he can absorb blows he's got the physicality right now to step in and play a college game, which is really half the battle.
What stood out to you about the NIL support you have to work with?
Yeah, I think it's been great. Yeah, no complaints. I think all of us, at any school, people have their own thought process on it. I think it's great. It's probably should have been happening probably a while ago. It's ever evolving by the minute, by the day. Numbers have changed by the day, and you just got to be adjustable. And but the support here has been phenomenal. Yeah, no complaints at all from any of us at all, other than just being super appreciative, because it's hard to raise money, anyway.
Eric, Jen made it clear when she brought you in that, your passion and just kind of the fire that you brought was a major reason why she wanted you. How much of that has been on your mind, so far in building this team and this roster, or is that just kind of part of who you are?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to do, I don't want to do what I did last year, but I want to do what we did in other years, which is create a really passionate, like a team that people are like cosmetically, people like, I want to go watch that team play. And then a team that the opposing teams respect for how hard they play. But I mean, we got for that to be the fourth practice, like these guys they're doing a heck of a job right now. They really are, because we got a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. And but yeah, I want our team to take on our personality of being super energetic and enthusiastic and playing with great energy.
Have you had time to reflect on just what kind of went wrong or didn't work last year at Arkansas?
Oh yeah, for sure.
What have you learned from that you
yeah,
tried
we just
to avoid?
We had talent last year. We any team in any sport, you got to play. You got to want to play together. You got to share the ball. But we were good enough to beat somebody like Duke, and then consistent play is the biggest thing. And we've been a really consistent program, whether it was Nevada or Arkansas. And even last year, like if you look at our Kentucky game, not many times you go into Rupp Arena and score 106 points and lose, but we did. And we led Alabama the last game of the year at their place. I think they were ranked second in the country, and led for an entire 40 minutes. They hit a shot to put it into overtime at the end of the game. So I thought we were playing well towards the end of the year. Just probably 3 to 4 games away from making a tournament, because in that league we win at Kentucky and win at Alabama, and we're right there maybe on the bubble, as crazy as that sounds.
So is there a portal house equivalent for chemistry for the players, or have you guys focused a lot on that yet, or been able to?
As far as
like chemistry-wise?
Yeah, we have a sign-up sheet. We want them all to come in and say hello every day during the course of the day, just to not talk basketball, because we are all new. But we'll start doing some team bonding stuff, whether it's meals or wiffle ball, but that we'll start doing stuff. I mean, it was up until really today, it's been physicals and housing and getting ready, class stuff. So this is the first, tomorrow will be the first day that everybody can kind of, take a breath.
Ready to be done with the logistics at this point?
Yeah, we are. We're done now. We should be good.
So if you're looking at SEC team,
you got a question?
We got questions for you.
Just trying to jot it down.
So if you're looking at SEC team, how would you describe the strengths you see in this roster?
Versatility, length would be the two that would probably come to mind. Kind of positionless would be, which is good and bad if you're not, can't slide directly into a position. But we know that, you know what I mean? Like the question about, evaluating last year. We've evaluated 8 weeks. I mean, we're doing an 8-week eval right now to talk about our strengths, weaknesses on the team, strengths, weaknesses, recruiting, areas we could have gotten better at. We're doing all that now, and it'll be done next week, where we can, we have it on paper. It's in a book. We can refer back to it next year at this time. So.
How many guys did you know roughly? Did you get to commit while you were in the month at the Portal House? Do you have
I think everybody.
everyone? That was
Yeah, I don't know who was our last guys to commit. Patton.
yeah.
I don't know if we were in the Portal House with Patton.
Most everyone.
Yeah, I think we were. We were. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah.
This sounds like this could be a thing. Like
Yeah,
program.
that's a great one. I'm sure my wife would love it. Move out during the portal. She wouldn't like the
I'm gonna
rent
go to
of
your
what that
house.
house was, but that's a hell of an idea. Yeah.
I think it works.
I can't wait to go tell the staff. New idea. We're all moving out of our current spot. We're going straight to a portal house until we get a completely new roster.
Do you have an actual? You have the house set now for yourself?
No,
No, you
it's
haven't.
the moving truck is coming today at 11.
I see.
Yep. So my mother-in-law is on her way from Atlanta to help do boxes, and I'm going to see if I have any good teammates of coworkers that'll come help me empty boxes today.
You guys are good.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks, you
Thank
guys.
you.